Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have a fun little technique that I want to share with you. I'm going to show you how to take a standard card or a standard card design and then step it up and carry that design over to a fun fold card. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different card ideas that I want to share with you. One is a standard card and the other is a fun fold card. But I basically took the same design and carried it over from the standard card onto the fun fold card. Now the cards in this video feature the On the Farm stamp set from Stampin' Up. And I will also be featuring some of the On the Farm dies as well when we create these cards. And I'm also featuring the Day at the Farm Designer Series paper. Now this paper is available for free with a $50 purchase during Celebration. Okay, so let's start out with the basic card design or the standard card design that I want to share with you. So this is the design that I'm actually going to carry over into that fun fold card. So I'm going to show you how to create this first, and then we'll create the fun fold. So you're going to start with a piece of white cardstock. So this is just your standard card base. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4 inches to create the base of the card. So I'm just going to set this aside for the moment, and we are going to focus on creating the green grass that's down here on the bottom of this card. So to do that, you will need a 2 1/8 by 5.5 inch piece of Pear Pizzazz cardstock. And so I'm going to be using Pear Pizzazz ink. So I'm using the same color ink as the cardstock. And I'm going to start out by stamping the little hills that are on this piece. So I started by stamping one kind of towards the top of this paper, and then another one down a little bit. So that's the basic design. And then I just took my scissors and I just cut around these little hills. So I just cut close to the design. And then I just went down to this middle section right here. So this little point right here. And then I just turned my scissors and just kind of cut around the hills. So it's pretty easy to just create this little hilly scene for our card. Okay, so once you have that done, then you can go ahead and stamp just the little grass image. So I just kind of randomly went along and stamped this. And again, I'm just using the Pear Pizzazz ink. So we'll just lay this kind of on the bottom. This is where this piece is going to go. I'm not going to adhere it just yet. And we're going to use some Balmy Blue ink, and we're going to stamp some of the clouds on the top. So there's a fun little cloud image in this set. Now I stamped off first. So I inked it up, stamped off, and then I stamped my cloud on the top part of my cardstock. It just kind of lightens the ink a little bit so that it's not so bold. Okay, so the first thing I did is I just added some dimensionals to the back of this piece, and I'm just going to adhere this to the bottom of our card. So this is the card front, so we'll just adhere it to the bottom. And then I created some little trees. There's a little image in this particular set. I just stamped these trees in early espresso ink. And then I just colored them in with the Old Olive stamping blends. So there's 2 different shades. So I used the lighter shade for here and then the darker shade of the Old Olive for the other tree. So I just colored those in, and then I cut them out with the coordinating die in the set. Then I also created some additional clouds that I'm just going to add to the top. So I stamped these the same way that I stamped them on this particular cardstock, but then I just cut them out with the coordinating die. So we'll just kind of add those to the top. And the Day at the Farm paper has some fun little farm animal images that you can cut out. The dies in this particular set cut out those images that are in that celebration paper. So I just cut this out, and we will just put him down on the bottom here. And the last thing I did is just create a little greeting. So I just used one of the Stylish Shapes dies to cut this greeting out. And then we'll just put this over on the side. So that's it. It was pretty fun just to kind of create this little scene, and it's just a super cute little card. So now let me show you how to create the fun fold card, kind of using this same type of scene. Okay, so now let's talk about how to create this fun fold card. So this is what it looks like. So I basically just created this little flap that kind of goes over the top of our scene. So you have one scene on the front, and then when you lift it up, you have a different scene, sort of. It's kind of the same scene, but it's a little bit different on the inside. So let me show you how to create this card. So I started with a 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch piece of Pear Pizzazz cardstock. So this is just the base of our card. And then I cut a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 inch piece of white cardstock. So I cut this so it gives us just a little bit of matting around the outside of the card. Then I cut a 2 3/4 by 8.5 inch piece of white cardstock. And then I just scored it in the middle at 4 1/4 inches. And that's how I created this flap. So basically what you're going to do, you could actually create two cards if you want. Just take your standard card base, like I showed you earlier, and just cut it in half. That's all I did. So if you want to make two cards, just create your standard card base and then cut it in half at 2 3/4 inches, and you'll end up with two pieces that you can use to create two cards. But I'm only creating one, so I just have this one here. So the first thing I'm going to do before we do any assembly is I want to stamp my little clouds here up in the corner of my white cardstock. So I'm just going to do the same thing that I did before. So I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper under here. And I'm just going to stamp off first, and then I will stamp my cloud. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, stamp off, and then we'll stamp this one down just a little bit over on that side. Okay, so now what we can do is we can take our fun fold section here, and we can just adhere it right down the center of this piece of Pear Pizzazz cardstock. So just add a bunch of glue to the back and just adhere it in the center. All right, so that is our fun fold section. And now we're just going to take this white piece and we're going to adhere it over the top. That'll just kind of cover up the, this section here of the fun fold. So we're going to adhere this as close to the top as we can. And don't worry about the bottom, because the bottom is going to look a little bit uneven, but that's okay, because you won't even see that. All right, so that's how you create the base of the fun fold card. Now we can just go ahead and decorate it. So we're going to start by decorating the inside first, and then we'll just kind of work our way to the outside. So the first thing I did is create the exact same piece that I created for the standard card that I just showed you earlier. So I just stamped all of this stuff on here and just cut this out with my scissors. And so this is going to go right on the inside of the card, and I have popped it up with some dimensionals. So we'll adhere it to the inside of the card. That's where we're going to create the little scene here. So next we'll adhere the little cow image. So I'm just going to adhere this right in the center here. So I popped it up a little bit with dimensionals. And then we'll just add our little trees. So I created them the same way that I did with the earlier card. So I'm just going to pop these up, and I'm putting them off to the side because you will be able to see these little trees when your card is closed. And the last thing I did is I just added a little saying on the inside of the card. So there's plenty of room up here to write a message, a personalized message, or stamp something if you want to. So that's the inside of the card. So now let me show you how to decorate the outside of the card. So the first thing I did is just cut a 2 1/8 by 2 3/4 inch piece of Pear Pizzazz cardstock. So this fits perfectly on our little fun fold section. And I stamped the images, same as I did, on the inside piece. And then again, I'm just going to cut the top part of this off, just so that we get that look of the rolling hills and the grass. So that's what it looks like. And then I took one of the little images from the designer paper, and I cut that out with the coordinating die. So this is actually just going to tuck right behind our little hills here. So for the front of the card, I just decided to adhere this right down to the front of the card. There's no dimensionals on this piece. So we'll just get this on there. And then I just tucked this little image right behind it. So we'll kind of tuck that in there. And then I just cut out another image. So I cut out the little pig image and just popped that up on the front of the card. And then the last thing I did is just add a couple of clouds. So these are the clouds I just stamped and cut out with the coordinating die. So that's it. That's how easy it is to just kind of take that scene that you put on a regular card and then just change it into a fun fold card. Okay, so there you go. Now you know how to take a standard card and turn it into a fun fold card. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.